My name is Letha Colby. I am 47 years old. And on Tuesday morning, September 8th, while loading the dishwasher, I died. There was no warning, no dramatic moment. 1 second, I was rinsing coffee, thinking about the parent-teacher conference that afternoon. The next, a strange little explosion sounded behind my eyes. That sound, soft as a breaking thread, was the end of everything ordinary. I didn't fall or scream. I simply stopped existing in the way I had known. The sound of the running water faded, the kitchen lights dimmed, and a quiet unlike any silence I'd ever known filled the air. Then blackness. Before that moment, my life was simple. A husband I loved, 2 children who still called me mom, with warmth, a job at the local elementary school that made me feel useful. I believed in God, but faith was something I carried in the background, like an old lullaby you hum without realizing. It comforted me, but never challenged me. That morning, faith stopped being a song. It became the reality. I found myself floating above my own body. My hand still clutched a blue coffee mug. My husband's footsteps echoed down the hall, and I saw the horror on his face as he found me lying still. He called my name, his voice cracking. "Letha, please wake up." I tried to answer, but I had no mouth, no breath, no sound. Only awareness. What came next was not fear, but release. It was as though every burden I had ever carried, guilt, exhaustion, self-doubt, melted away. I felt myself being drawn by a gentle current, upward and outward, into a vast expanse that wasn't light or darkness, but something beyond both. The world behind me, my home, my husband, my children, began to fade like a photograph left in the sun. And then I felt it, a presence, tender and immense. It didn't speak yet, but I knew it knew me. In that moment between breaths, between death and something greater, my soul whispered, "So this is what it means to be alive." The peace around me was alive, not empty, not silent. It breathed. Every particle shimmered like music I couldn't hear, but could feel inside my chest. And then, from far away, I saw it, a light. At first, it was just a spark. Then it grew, spreading warmth through everything it touched. The closer it came, the more I realized this wasn't just light. It was love taking form. The light began to shape itself into a presence, into someone. It was a man, yet not of flesh, made of living radiance that pulsed with colors beyond anything I'd ever seen. My soul recognized him before my mind did. And then, without words, I knew it was Jesus. I didn't fall to my knees, I had no knees. But every part of me bowed in awe. His gaze met mine, and in that instant I was known. Every thought, every secret I had buried beneath years of routine and politeness, he saw it all. And yet, there was no condemnation, only understanding. It was as if his eyes looked not at me, but through me, into the small child who once prayed before bed, into the woman who smiled through exhaustion, into the quiet corners of my heart where I never let anyone enter. He spoke, not with sound, but through vibration, through knowing. "Welcome home, Letha," he said. "Be at peace." Peace, the kind that no human language could ever describe, filled me like sunlight soaking into frozen ground. I realized that every worry I'd ever carried was gone. Money, mistakes, regrets, even the small jealousies I never confessed. They melted into his presence. Time didn't exist there. Seconds and centuries felt the same. We simply were. And for the first time, I understood what eternity meant. Not endless time, but endless love. Then his expression changed. The warmth in his light remained, but there was gravity now, a sacred stillness that told me something important was coming. He said softly, "Letha, I have 3 questions for you, little one. They're the same questions I ask of every soul." My spirit trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of truth I felt forming around me. The first question was coming, but my heart wasn't ready. His light drew closer, resting over me like a blanket. And as it did, I could feel every wall I had built in life begin to crumble. I wasn't in heaven yet, I was standing at its doorway, and the next words would change everything. Did you let me love you? The words rippled through me, breaking the silence inside my soul. Not did you love me, but did you let me love you? Before I could even think of an answer, tears began to fall, not of sadness, but of recognition. I had spent my whole life trying to be worthy, trying to earn love that had been freely given all along. And in that flood of light, I realized he wasn't testing me. He was inviting me to finally receive. If you're listening to this, maybe he's asking you too. Have you truly let him love you, not just believe, not just pray, but receive? Comment Amen below if you want his love to fill your heart and guide your life. Let that be your answer today. His light surrounded me like dawn unfolding. After the first question, I thought I had understood love, but Jesus wasn't finished. His gaze softened, and yet it pierced deeper, reaching into the places of my heart I didn't know existed. Then he asked, Letha, did you see me in the people I sent to you? The words vibrated through me like a bell ringing in an empty church. Did I see him? I wanted to answer quickly. Yes, Lord, I try to be kind. I volunteered. I gave. I prayed for others. But before I could speak, his hand of light moved gently, and memories began to unfold around me like scenes from my life projected in air. I was standing outside the grocery store in winter. A man sat on the curb, dirty, holding a cardboard sign that said, Hungry. I remembered how I had dropped $1 in his cup without looking him in the eyes, afraid of the smell, afraid of the discomfort. Now, through Jesus' eyes, I saw that man again. A small, flickering light glowed inside his chest, the same divine spark that glowed within me. I saw his loneliness, his shame, his prayers whispered into the cold wind. And I realized it was him I had walked past. Scene after scene unfolded. My coworker at the school who always gossiped, whom I quietly judged while smiling politely. My daughter Katie, slamming the door after another teenage argument. I saw myself turn away instead of listening. My husband Brandon, trying to share his stress one night while I scrolled through my phone. I saw the disappointment in his eyes when he realized I wasn't truly there. Every face became a mirror, every voice an echo of his. The cashier I rushed, the parent I criticized, the stranger I ignored. In all of them, he had been waiting for me to see him. My soul broke open. I saw how blind I had been, not because I lacked faith, but because I lacked presence. I believed in God in heaven, but I failed to notice him walking beside me on earth. Jesus looked at me with infinite gentleness. The whole world is filled with me, he said, hiding in plain sight. Your only task is to look with the eyes of your heart. I wept, not from guilt, but from a longing to do better. If I could go back, I would see every person differently. I would meet every face as holy ground. And maybe that's why I was sent back, to see him where I never thought to look. After a long stillness, the light shifted again. The warmth of his love remained, but now I could feel a new depth, a gravity, as though heaven itself was holding its breath. Jesus looked into me, and the light around us dimmed to a golden hush. Then he asked the third question. Letha, he said softly, what did you do with the wounds I allowed? For a moment, I didn't understand. My wounds? I thought of scraped knees from childhood, small hurts that faded. But the look in his eyes told me, this was not about my body. It was about my heart. Then memories rose up like smoke. I saw myself at 19, standing beside a hospital bed. My father's hand was cold in mine. He had died suddenly of a heart attack, just like my own death years later. The pain had carved something deep into me. For decades, I carried it like a stone in my pocket. I never spoke about it. I called it being strong. But in truth, I was just hiding. I built walls so no one could touch that place. Jesus showed me that wound, a dark, heavy stone glowing faintly inside my chest. Then he showed me another memory. A young woman I worked with last year, her father had just been diagnosed with cancer. I saw her eyes filled with fear as she told me. I said the polite thing. I'm sorry to hear that. I smiled gently and walked away. But now Jesus replayed that moment, and I saw it differently. He showed me that my wound could have been a bridge. If I had opened my heart, shared my pain, told her, "I understand. I've been there," that simple honesty could have reached her soul. It could have become light in her darkness. But I kept it locked away, believing silence was strength. "Letha," he said, "your wounds were not punishments. They were assignments." Each pain, each heartbreak, was meant to teach me compassion, to help me carry someone else's sorrow. He showed me faces, people I could have comforted if I had allowed my own pain to be used. Every tear I'd hidden could have watered the healing of another soul. And in that moment I understood, our suffering is never wasted. It is the language through which love speaks most clearly. I began to weep, the soundless cry of a spirit undone. I saw all the times I guarded my hurt instead of giving it meaning. But Jesus didn't scold me. His light drew me closer, and I felt him whisper, "This is not judgment. It is awakening. The wound you hide can become the key to someone else's freedom." I wanted to promise him I would never waste another tear. But he simply smiled, as if he already knew. The light around me shimmered gently, like a sunset that didn't want to end. I felt safe, completely, eternally safe, in his embrace. If time existed there, it must have stopped because I wanted nothing more than to stay, to remain in that love forever. I whispered, "Please, Lord, don't send me back." My voice, or maybe it was my soul, trembled like a child's. "I'm so tired. I just want to stay with you." He held me close, and his light pulsed like a heartbeat against mine. "I know, little one," he said, "but your work is not done. Your family still needs to learn what love looks like. You have seen it now. Go, and live the answers to these questions." My spirit wept, not from fear this time, but from heartbreak, the heartbreak of leaving heaven. The warmth began to fade. The music of eternity grew distant. I felt a gentle pull, backward, like being drawn through a tunnel of wind and light. And then, pain. A sharp, burning pain filled my chest. I gasped, choking on air. Voices shouted around me. Machines beeped frantically. Someone cried, "She's back. We've got a pulse." I opened my eyes. Harsh, fluorescent lights stung them. A hospital room. My husband Brandon was there, his hands covering his face, sobbing. When he heard my breath, he looked up, eyes wide with disbelief and tears. He rushed to my side, whispering my name over and over. I couldn't speak, but I squeezed his hand. He knew. I was home, but in a different way now. The doctor said I had been gone for 11 minutes. They called it a miracle. But I knew what it really was, a mission. A year has passed since that morning. From the outside, my life looks the same house, same job, same family dinners. But inside, nothing is the same anymore. Now I wake up each day asking myself those 3 questions. When I pray, I no longer just speak. I listen, letting his love enter me. When I see people, even the rude, the weary, the broken, I try to find the spark of him shining behind their eyes. And when pain comes, I don't hide from it anymore. I ask, who can I comfort with this? Heaven isn't only a destination. It's a way of living, right here, right now. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every time I choose love over pride, I feel a piece of heaven return to earth. And sometimes, when the night is quiet and the house is still, I feel his presence again, not as light above me, but as peace within me. A whisper that says, "You are not alone. You are still being loved." If you are listening to this, remember, the same love that brought me back is reaching for you too. Let him love you. See him in others. Turn your wounds into healing. And heaven will begin in your heart. If this message touched your soul, comment Amen below. May his grace protect you, guide you, and fill your home with light.